parents came over from Germany in, I think it was 1929. During the war effort, we had ration cards for food and for gasoline. And they had a quarantine. You couldn't leave, weren't supposed to leave your yard. But we'd sneak through the alleys and play Monopoly in various houses, you know, in the basement. So, yeah, we had a habit of going down alleys to get to school, and you'd see these garages, and they'd have the lock just hooked onto the latch. So we'd go up and down the alleys, and we'd take the locks off, and then we'd put the locks on some other garage and lock it up, and that caused some problems. We did that for a little while, and then we figured we could really get in trouble doing that. People get out in the morning trying to get the car out of the garage, and it's locked in, you know. If I would have got caught, I probably would have died at home. My dad didn't care for any hanky-panky like that. My dad always loved fishing. He bought a lot on Cedar Lake, which is about 40 miles out of Milwaukee. We all went out there, and we were little kids, and we started digging the foundation by hand. I think I still have some pictures of that. Well, for some reason, he had to sell that lot. I don't know why. We never did get to live on a lake. And after the war, he figured there would be a need for housing for returning servicemen. So he started a building business. At that time, I was growing up and helping him, you know, when I could. Went 3 different high schools, Washington and Milwaukee and Wauwatosa. And my last 3 years in school, I transferred to Boys Tech in Milwaukee because it was a trade school. And they had courses there that I was interested in, like architectural drafting, mechanical drafting, you know, shop. Then I had three hours lunch and study hall and English, I think it was. I went about a block away, and there was a pool hall there, and we shot a little pool. The guy I rented was a Mexican with one arm, and he used to hold a rake under his stub, and he'd shoot pool. And boy, I tell you, he was really good. He taught us the game. My wife lived about a block and a half away in a home that my father built. And I met her when she was in high school. I'll never forget it. The house we built on 111th had a foundation for a garage, and it needed filling. And my dad had a pile of fill right at front. And it was hot, man. I was sweating. I was stripped down to my waist, and I was shoveling that fill in. Here comes Nancy with my sister walking down the road, and she had a yellow dress on. I'll never forget it. I thought, this looks very inviting. No, I think possibly our first connection was I helped her babysit a neighbor while she was babysitting their kids. So we started dating pretty heavy, and then myself and 5 of my friends joined the Naval Reserve. I think we were 17 years old, yeah. That's about the time they were fighting over in Korea. If we wouldn't have joined the service, we would have been called up and been Army grunts. One time when we were out on the grinder, we were marching. They were looking for volunteers to box. They had a big, like a gym and they had boxing events, you know. They're looking for a light heavyweight, and at that time I was 170 or something like that, and I was the only one that volunteered. Well, I'd never boxed before in my life. I got in the ring. I used to have real heavy glasses. I had to take my glasses off, and I was looking around for my opponent. It happened to be a kid from Racine that he had like 8 or 9 amateur bouts already, which I didn't know of. But if you'd volunteer for this, then you'd get a big T-bone steak after the bouts were done over at the Commission Officers Club. I thought, yeah, what the heck, I can do that. I got in the ring with him. My first round, 3-round fight. After the first round, I did all right, held my own. Second round, he started getting to me. The third round, he cracked me in the jaw. I thought I was dislocated. Well, I didn't win the fight. But I had the steak after the fight, which I could hardly chew because my jaw was damn near out of place. I had enough of that. Wasn't going to make a living at a box as a boxer. But service was good to me. I enjoyed the Navy. One time when I was in Norfolk on a training ship, I went in a jewelry store and I bought the rings. I just asked her if she'd like to get married, and she was agreeable. It was pretty well cut and dried by that time. So she had an engagement ring in her senior year of high school. And a month out of high school, and we got married. Coming out of high school, I worked for a couple of architectural firms. But I didn't care for that life at all. I couldn't handle being inside all the time. So I opted to get an apprenticeship through my dad, who was still a builder. So I ended up being a carpenter, working with my hands, which I enjoyed. So my friend Lloyd Fisher, he talked me into coming down to Janesville to be a partner in his construction business because he needed an expediter. So in '66, I was living in his home, working with him, and we decided to move to Janesville. I drove back to Menominee Falls, and I told Nancy to sell it. So it was also opening a fishing weekend, so I went fishing. I came home, and the house was sold. We had a lot of moves since we were married. We figured we had about 14 to 16 moves in between houses and building houses and moving. We bought a lot for $800. I drew the plans, went to work on it. I had to sell my first house, moved into a duplex. We bought another lot, started building another house. So we lived a couple of years on Fair Oak Parkway, and then we sold that, and we just, as soon as we moved into it, we put a sign in the front yard for sale. For every house that we built, we had a child. We had 4 houses, we had 4 children. So from 1953 to 1966, when we moved here, I built 4 houses, had 4 kids. There was never any doubt that I was going to have a boy. I just told Nancy, I says, I'll name him Bernie. She says, all right. And I felt no pain at all. No, she did all the work. She's a good mother. She appreciated having a child. He was a good kid. There's never any problems. Lisa was our beauty. She was our beauty queen. What do we have next? Oh, Kurt. Yeah, Kurt was something else. He was pretty rambunctious. And Michelle arrived about one day after Nancy was up on a ladder painting the overhang on our house. Whoops! And there comes our baby. Little Michelle. She's a sweetheart. The cottage was probably our biggest escape. Well, my brother was telling me about this lot that he bought on a lake, on Bass Lake, because one of the farmers was developing lots along one shoreline. So that really got my interest because I had been looking around for a lake lot, or a reasonable distance, not 4 or 5 hours away. I went up with him. We drove across these fields. There was no road into it yet. I went over by the farmer, and I think I put $100 down. And when I came home, I borrowed on my life insurance to buy the lot. And we'd go up there every other weekend in summer. Back it up. That was kind of a bone of contention with my partner that I was building with. He says, how can you leave on the weekends to go up north? I says, watch me. I says, we're going to do that every other weekend with my family. And he couldn't understand that. I says, Lloyd, every other weekend is mine. I says, don't bother about telling me to work. Well, I had deer camp up there for at least 30 years with my friends. Yeah, we had guys that got lost in the woods, and other guys, farmers would have to bring them back to the cottage. We got some deer out of it, all right. At one time we got 5 for 5. Had 5 guys up there, and we brought back 5 deer, all on top of my station wagon. I got movies of that, man. There was legs and horns and everything sticking out. And then we went into town on the way home and had some dinner and a couple more drinks. And they let me drive back to Janesville while they slept. That was really nice of them, you know.
Tell about when you found out you were going to be a grandpa. First time you found out.
It's wonderful. Big celebration. I forget who that was. Probably Annalise, yeah.
Yeah.
She was our first. Then the kids started pouring in. Every Saturday, pick the kids up. Let's go. Get in the boat. Yeah, we had our Saturday pancakes. We took our little trips. Yeah, we got around pretty good. There was always something doing on a Saturday. Went out to watch Big Bird. Remember that one?
Remember that.
They're nasty little birds, though. You couldn't get too close to them. I learned from life is depend upon yourself and be honest with people and take care of your family. Everything revolves around family, actually, as far as I'm concerned. That's the big one. And then everything falls into place. Just all basic stuff, you know. That's the way I was taught from my parents. It's worked out well. It really has worked out well.